Good evening, the Imaginarium. How are you all? It's Tuesday evening for us, but we have the amazing Ed Troxell, who's been part of my journey for probably 18 months, you know.
Ah,
Do you think it's about
it
that?
has been a while.
I'm going to wait for people to come on so we can just sort of hang out for a minute. I think you started around January last year, did you? Or was it the year before?
For me,
Yeah, when
I my business or going live
going
or
live when I found you.
yeah. It maybe it, I think it's been 2 years now. I feel like
I feel,
two and a half.
is it that long?
It time has been flying by, so I wouldn't be surprised if it is because I'm going in my fifth year of business, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
See, I thought it was last January. Perhaps it was the January before then.
I think so. I
Two and a
think
half
so because
years
this
it?
live streaming has been going on for a while now.
Wow, I can't believe that. I can't. I was just saying to Ed, my phone is about to die, which is such a shame because I've just been on it, and as you do all day, and that's where the comments are. Can you see the comments?
Yes.
Oh, that's all right. I'll leave it with Ed then.
Yeah.
Because as we know, you're an absolute pro at all this. It's where I learn everything I do. I learned from you. This program
Uh,
I used, I learned from you. Did your courses,
I
and
love it.
and you still help us now, don't you?
Yep, it's a lot of fun. It looks like we got 4 people live right now jumping in.
Yeah. And we've asked for some questions, and our theme this month is all about time management because we really, as creatives, all we want to do is make stuff. That's what we want to do.
Yes.
And we have all this tech stuff in the background, which we struggle with. We want to share our items all over Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all over the place. And I'm working on the link that you gave me. I'm working on that with the
Oh, good, good.
app developer and all. It's a bit above me, so I might be asking you some questions in your group
Yes,
a bit later
definitely.
on. So yeah, that's where we are, and we all struggle with this, and we thought the most appropriate, best person to ask is yourself.
I love it.
And obviously, you're from over the pond. And what is it?
Yes, for those
Just
who
gone
don't
10 in the
know,
morning,
I'm from California, sunny California. As you can see, the nice glow coming in from the outside light.
and it's 10, isn't it? About 10.
Yes, 10 a.m. on Tuesday.
Yeah. And we're 6 p.m. on Tuesday. And I've just, as you know, I've just finished the book, so I've been out of your sort of, well, everywhere for the last couple of months. But I've just started
Yeah.
catching up, and you do it at 12 now, and that's a brilliant time for me. So I was on with you on Friday, wasn't I?
Yes, yes, that was fun. I was really excited to have you on the live call,
I tell you what, I haven't been off of Drive now. I've been on it all the time. And do you know how much stuff I found on there that I didn't even realise was there? That I'd
which is
done.
so awesome. I love when you can rediscover stuff like that.
And then I've started repurposing it.
Yes.
Like, yay! Right, I'm not sure who's on. I've still got 1%, so I can have a quick look.
We got 5 people on right now.
Can you there?
And I'm just reading one comment. I'm trying to blog at the moment. Is there a certain amount of time per week/day that I should be dedicating to it? Oh, great question, Trina.
Oh, hi, Trina.
Uh,
Sorry, I can't see you. I'm not prepared at all, am I?
well, you're using Ecamm, right?
Mm-hmm.
The comments should be popping up on the sidebar,
They are,
which
but
would be on.
it doesn't say who
Oh,
they are.
gotcha.
It just says, hi, watching. I'm trying to blog. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
it
can be
says invite group members. Shall I do that?
yes, yeah.
Training on we go. Look at that. I love it.
The group, when streaming to a group, it can be a little trickier because it doesn't pull permissions and stuff from Facebook aren't as easy as the pages.
Yeah, I usually have my phone in the corner so I can see who's popping up. This is our top membership group, so a smaller amount of people in here, but
Got
a lot more. So I've just invited group members. Do they have to click on it?
Hey, Vicky. They should be able to, yeah. And then it should be able to show their names once they do.
I can see Vicky, so she's already done this in the past. But you can see your phone anyway. And Trina,
Yep.
I can see that you said it's Trina. Girl, Facebook notifications. So how would you like to do this? Would you like to have a look at the questions?
Yeah, we'll start with Trina's because it's right here, and then I have the other ones here. So yeah, hi everyone. If you haven't followed me online or seen me around, I am over here in sunny California, in the States, and I love business, helping people with their businesses and growing it online. And people know me for making tech easy for them. So it's really a lot of fun because tech can be very complicated, and I like to just break it down for you to make it easy. So let's take the first question here, the live question. Trina says, I am trying to blog at the moment. Is there a certain amount of time per week/day that I should be dedicating to it? I love this question because it doesn't matter if you're blogging, if you're doing any kind of social media work, or anything that basically is promoting your business, it still falls under the same rules, basically. And what that comes down to is really obviously the time management, which is what your guys' topic is this month. But it comes into a category I like to call batch editing. So what that means is basically you pick a time and day during the week where you dedicate a chunk of time to working on whatever it is. So, for example, you all like to create. So you know that you're dedicating most of your time to creating whatever products you're making. So that's already dedicated time. Now you kind of have to step back and look at what time that takes. So you only have 24 hours in a day. And if you're spending, if you only have 8 hours in a day to work on your projects, and you're spending 7 hours or 7.5 hours working on your projects, then you really have limited time to do anything else. So you kind of have to step back and look at where are you spending your time. So that means that you have to do a time audit, meaning you need to document throughout the day what you're working on and how long you're working on it for. I have found the easiest way for me is to schedule out my day. So I will go through and either use an Excel spreadsheet or Google Calendar, whatever works for you. You can just use pen and paper and just write down whatever time you start your day. So if you wake up at 7 a.m., wake up. 7:30, coffee. 8 a.m., work. What kind of work? So in this case, you could say writing a blog post. Give it an hour, even if you think it's only going to take 15 minutes. I will say, for me, I always put in 30-minute buffers at least, meaning if you think it's only going to be 15 minutes, put 30. Mm-hmm. If you think it's going to be 30, put 60. Really try to overestimate how much time it's going to take, because when you run late on that project, you still have some time in between. And it really helps you with that. So to get back to your question, yes, when it comes to blogging or creating your social media posts, pick a day and time that works for you and dedicate just to doing that. So when you're working on that blog post, you're not checking Facebook, you're not checking your email, you're not answering client calls or any of that other stuff. You literally, from, let's say, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., you're working on that blog post or that social media post. It's really important to stay dedicated to that time as if it was an assignment from somebody. Pretend that I'm assigning you that time and that deadline to get that stuff done. Yeah. But also keep in mind, too, is that you may work better in the mornings or in the evenings on these types of projects, right? So
who's wrote that is an evening. She's a night owl, definitely.
Perfect. So that's the other thing that you have to pay attention to when it comes to time management, no matter what you're working on, is you have to pay attention to what time of day do you work best for that task, for that project. For me, I like to keep my mornings pretty light in terms of having client calls and things like that, because I'm fresh in the morning to jump in and get creative, work on my creative stuff. On Mondays, I dedicate the mornings to creating my social media posts or scheduling things that I need to take care of for the week. And then once you know that, then everything else is booked around that time. So keep that in mind.
I do struggle to dedicate to just that. I definitely work better at night. You do. You absolutely do. And Trina actually goes live every evening with either myself or Vicky with the Ecam, and she has an amazing way with words. And blogging and writing is definitely her way to go. She's having a little bit of direction, a bit of a change in direction from creative makes to speaking. It eventually, I would see her to be.
Mm-hmm.
So all very new for her. What if you have to change?
Yeah, so I would pick a day and time. And here's the thing. Don't overcomplicate it and don't feel overwhelmed with it. Pick one day, one topic that you're going to post once a week. Like, start small. It's not like you have to post a new blog post every day, every hour, or any of that. Like, don't put the pressure on yourself. Just say, I'm going to start one post, 1 week, 1 hour at this time and day, and then go from there. And if you can do more, great. But you got to start with the bare minimums.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was awesome advice. Don't let people interrupt you, I think, is probably what I'd say. I don't know if Ed would agree. Turn everything off.
Yes. Yeah. I will say, it's very hard these days to disconnect, especially when we're in our zones, in our offices and workplaces. But if you know that you have to work on something, flip the phone over, put it on Do Not Disturb, turn off your notifications, disconnect the internet if you have to, if you don't need to be online during that time where you're writing. Like, whatever you can do to really focus, because we think that we're multitasking and it's very productive when we're checking the email, we're writing that blog post, and then we're answering the call or the text message, and we're doing all of this back and forth within that hour. It's exhausting. Our creative brains are using so much energy to go from one task to the other and bouncing back and forth that we feel like we're accomplishing something and we're getting many things done, but we're actually not. And then everything is basically half, if not more than half, unfinished. So we really have to try to not multitask, especially when we're trying to be creative, because it really takes too much time and energy away from us. And we also, this is an important part, I know Chrissy and I talked about this last week, we got to get our sleep. We have to get our sleep.
Gosh. Oh. I don't know if you've got, but I've got a Fitbit and it tells me how much I'm getting, and it's not good, Ed. It is not good.
Because here's the thing. All of us are creative. We're so passionate about what we do. And then you throw in the business side. And then you throw in the online presence. And that includes the website, the social media posts, and blog posts, and all this stuff. And then you throw in family and friends.
Yeah.
And we're just so overwhelmed and we don't have enough time. And so we have to make sure that we don't cut out our sleep. Because here's the thing. I was in a workshop around entrepreneurs' mindset and the brain activity and everything over the weekend. And what we have to understand, and I'm not a scientist or anything, but I'll just share with what I learned from that, is that our brains need sleep, because all day long, they're trying to keep up with us. We're absorbing so much information at times it can't process. And so when we sleep, that's when it kicks into full gear and it's like, okay, now I can focus on everything you told me today and how to connect the dots. And so that's really important for us to remember, is that sleep is so important for many reasons, health reasons especially. But if you really want to succeed in whatever you're working on and really want to get the answers to those questions, that you don't know, that you're afraid to ask people like me or somebody, you need to get that sleep, because that's when things will come together, and your brain needs it. Just think about your phones. They need to churn off sometimes. Many times we don't turn these off unless the battery dies or we have to go on a plane or something. And even then, these days, we don't very much. So then they crash, and then they're just like, we're done. Like, I gotta go. I need to rest for a second. And so keep that in mind, that it's a very
really good analogy. I love that. I'm going to remember that. Vicky works in the day, obviously, so she has to work in the evenings and night time. I'm not sure who this is, but they say, at this point, Ed, I'm just exhausted. What with working full time, it's very hard. I don't think that's Vicky, because I can see her comments.
Cara.
Oh, it's Cara. Hi, Cara.
And I love that you're open and honest about that. That's what I teach people all the time too, is you got to be open and honest with yourself, and you got to give yourself permission to be okay with asking for help, permission to be okay with taking a day off. Listen, I love what I do. I love being on 24/7, helping solopreneurs and business owners. I love being able to share my knowledge. You know, Chrissy knows I'm inside my network all day long, helping and guiding and everything.
Yeah.
And for me to take a day off or even a couple hours off can be a struggle. But I have slowly learned that if I give myself that permission to be okay with it, even if it's just for a couple hours, and in some cases maybe an hour or 30 minutes, like depending on your schedule, when you give yourself that permission and you stop beating yourself up over, I should be working on this, I should be doing that, why am I trying to sit here and trying to, read a book or just relax? I should be XYZ. When you just let that all go and you give yourself permission, everything changes. And here's another thing that I learned from Steve. Let's see, what's his name? Stephen Campbell is the guy that I was at his workshop over the weekend. And here's what he was telling us. Our brains believe what we tell it to. So everything that you say, your brain believes it. So for instance, if you say you're exhausted, your brain's going to say, yeah, you're exhausted. If you give yourself permission to take time off, your brain's going to say, yeah, take time off. And if you say, I can't do this, your brain's going to say, you're right, you can't. But if you say, I can do this, it's going to say, you're right, you can do this. So it's really trying to change, myself included, our wording and what we think and our behaviors. And if we can't change it, then we have to just replace it. Like, just replace those wordings. And that's where positive affirmations and things like that come into play. But understand that we all struggle with this, and we do have to take time off for ourselves, especially if you're working a full-time job and trying to do something on the side, especially if you have family, kids, all of that. Like, I'll tell Chrissy, stop. Just go to sleep.
There's me nodding way to you, and I'm thinking, God, I'm probably the worst at this.
Yeah, and we all get into the hustle mode, if you will, where it's like we have to stay up and running. We have to keep going. If I just do that one more task, if I just send that one more email, if I just do one more call, I'll be good for tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's always going to be one more thing for us to do. Always. So it doesn't really matter. What matters is that you have a cutoff point for yourself, which is what I always recommend you/business owners do, is set office hours. You have got to set office hours. And that ties into what we were talking about earlier, is that if you set office hours, that allows you to have a start and a finish point. Therefore, you are on a deadline. You have to get whatever work comes up done. Otherwise, you'll take care of it tomorrow. And when you put that office out, oh, go ahead, Chrissy.
I was just going to say, so a lot of us are parents. So our office hours are all our ladies who are working in the day at their other jobs. They could be doing like your day stuff, so I have to stop during school runs, and then I do stuff in the evening. So that would be my office hours still, though, wouldn't it?
Yes, because that's the thing, is that when you have your schedule broken up like that, let's say that you have, well, what's your typical, like with the kids and everything, even if they're at school, what's your kind of day look like that?
Okay, we're on the spot now. So 9 till 2:30. Then they do the school runs, and they might have some after school stuff. So I'm usually back on it between 4 and 6, a little bit off it, and for another hour, and then back on it again till God knows what time.
Exactly. So you know that you have specific time slots that you have time to work on whatever you have available in your business, meaning emails, social media, projects, connecting with people in terms of phone calls or lives like this.
Yeah.
So you know that those chunks of time are all that you have available. And so in those chunks of time, you have to figure out what's the best use of that time. So we kind of talked about this last week, Chrissy and I, but I want to bring it up for all of you guys, is that if you're doing the school pickup and drop-offs, and it's Monday through Friday, you're going to be on the road a lot. Chances are you're going to be in line sometimes, waiting to pick up the kids. I don't know if you guys have it out there, but here I've been.
I did this today.
You did?
I did this today. Yes, I did.
Sorry, I had to
say it while I thought of it.
Yeah, no, tell us what did you do today?
When you said about it in the car, and Mickey was talking about it, and that wasn't she. So I stopped in the car. Sometimes I do lives in the car, but I actually did more productive things. So I was doing my emails, which I then tend to do right late at night, answering a few messages, and I felt really productive about it as well.
Yes, so that's what I'm talking about, and you guys just experienced that live here. So what we were talking about, Chrissy and I, last week inside my network was really time management, and to use this example where you have kind of a crazy schedule because you got to pick up the kids and drop off the kids. That's a lot of time in the car, which means you're not necessarily at your computer, which means you can't really dive into your creativity or your creative projects that are in your workshop. So what could you do during that time when you're sitting in line waiting for the kids to come out of school? Well, if you know ahead of time that that's the case, then you make sure to use that time to check your emails, schedule calls, make appointments. Like, that's how you have to think about these chunks of time, especially when you have the kids involved. It's really about your mindset, knowing what's available to you and how you can best fit that. For instance, if you know that your schedules are crazy during the week, and maybe let's say Wednesday, the kids get out a little earlier, so then in the afternoon, maybe that's when you schedule client calls, because they're out still playing for a couple hours, and that's when you can really focus and have scheduled calls or whatever it may be.
I think most of us is sort of creating and doing the orders and making the makes, if you like, whatever, that's the orders that have come through.
Yes, and so that's a good one too, with the orders that come through. If obviously you have to look at how frequent those orders are, and if they're coming in every day, then that means that you need to ask yourself, how long does it take for me to review an order, get it prepared, and do whatever the next steps are?
Take it to the post or the courier or something.
Yeah. So if that's the case, and I'm just going to make a rough estimate, let's just say it takes you an hour, and this is happening every day. So you know that you're going to check your orders at the end of the day, because it doesn't really make sense, I'm guessing, to check them at 8 in the morning if they're going to keep coming in all day long. So you could set a time where, let's say at 7 p.m., you check the orders for that day. You spend from 7 to 8 p.m. fixing all those orders, preparing them, getting them ready, putting them in the car, and then on the next day, you drop off the kids, and then you swing by the post office and drop them off. And you repeat that process every day.
That's a good.
That's what I'm talking about, is like, really keep that in mind. The same thing applies with email. If you can, try not to spend all day long in your email, because then you're answering back and forth. It's okay to give yourself permission to let things sit for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. And when you have those office hours, people will understand if it's your day off that you don't get back to them. If it's outside your office hours, you don't get back to them till tomorrow. And if you do get back to them in that earlier, great. But, standard policy should be, we'll get back to you within 24 hours, 48 hours at the latest, but 24 hours, because that's fine.
I put that on my Facebook page, so if somebody comments, I put, I'll generally get back within 24 hours. But with my emails, they were ever growing. So I was only really commenting the ones that I had at the top. So when you suggested about the car and everything, I was actually going through and unsubscribing because I was missing so many. So that gave me some time to actually clear out. I haven't done it all, but it's a marathon.
Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. And you bring up a good point with subscriptions. So with your email subscriptions, are they all going to your business email?
Mm-hmm.
So here's a big tip for all of you guys. Get another email address.
I've got quite a few.
Create an email address and only use that for email list signups, promotional things, anything where they ask for your email address. You put that on one inbox, not the business inbox. So for example, I have my main inbox, and I get to see everything because the way I have it set up, I see everything. But for simplicity here, I have my main email address, which I am very protective of in terms of I don't put that in whenever I'm signing up for somebody's email list.
Yeah, I do. Stop that.
Yes, I take my other one, which I've told myself is for promotions, for anything that I'm signing up for. So I've told my mind, this email address is what we use when we're trying to sign up for something. So every time I go and I see a form to fill out, I put that email address. Therefore, I don't get bombarded with a huge inbox mixed with promotions and business and all of this stuff. It's really about separating things out. And that's how you can stay organized.
I've done that for Heartisan, but for cuddle beds, it all just all my personal stuff all gets mixed up. Heartisan, I've got it all quite well sorted, but I need to get back.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, and it helps a ton. And yes, you could try to sort things with filters and stuff, but at the end of the day, I like to have things separate, meaning a separate email address for each thing, because it just is easier. And then at the end of the week, when I have time, I can jump into that other inbox and go through those promotional emails to see what works.
Not as important. When Jules was on yesterday, we touched on a few bits of time management, and she said to put things into critical, important, not important, and don't do. And I thought that was pretty cool. And you could do the same with email, couldn't you?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And everyone, that's another point to bring up, is that everyone's going to have their own method that works for them. So you have to be open to new ideas and to be able to test things to see what works, because what works for me may not work for you. Same thing with what works for Chrissy may not work for you. So just be open and aware of that as well.
I'm just going to have a quick look. Like I said, I don't know who's saying what, but somebody learnt the hard way this year and they're taking Mondays out. That's really cool. Who's that?
Yes, Amy.
Amy. I thought it might be Amy. Now, Amy has a crazy schedule. So she has a little girl. Her partner has a business. She has a business. They're both crafters. And if I get this right, from a Thursday to a Sunday, they're on the road going to craft fairs and stuff, and they do that every weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're really busy, and I know she does stuff for Heartisan as well. So
yeah, that definitely, you have to have that time management down and take time off too. And that's the other thing. It's okay to have a day off, you guys, meaning you're off as far as clients are concerned, customers are concerned. You're probably not really off though. Let's face it, you're still working and stuff. But like for instance, I have my office hours include Wednesdays are off, meaning that's the one day that I protect to have meetings with certain people and to be able to work on certain projects that I want to work on. And so the rest of the world, as far as they're concerned, I'm only available Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, not weekends and not Wednesdays. And that's okay. If I do end up working on those days, fine. But at least that I set the right expectations.
I do every day, Ed. I do. I need to sort it out. I know I do.
Yep.
I'm going for, after the holidays of September, I'm going to get myself organised. I took my laptop last evening when I had to wait during a booking at the church hall. I think this may be Sue. I sat in the kitchen and sorted photos for uploading to the shop. Oh, Sue, that's awesome. I got a habit of posting out on Wednesdays when my daughter was in the choir group. I'm not sure who that is. Maybe Katrina?
And that's perfect too, because I'm looking at the other questions from the other day, and Sue was talking about how to say no. I have things in my diary, sometimes a year ahead, but certainly a week in each day. Then someone comes along with a, could you just, or I thought we could, ... and the plan goes to wretched. I love that, Sue. That happens to us all. I will say what has been working for me recently, because I took a holiday 2 weeks ago.
I saw the pictures. They're amazing. Sorry, they're amazing photos with you on the back of the boat. What do they call it?
Yes.
What's it called?
Wakeboarding.
Wakeboarding. Oh, it looks awesome. Awesome.
It was so much fun, and that's where my techiness gets out, and I can be out in the woods and have fun. And so I went into my holiday with the mindset that I was going to get organized with things that I'm working on in my business, because I have so many great ideas and I have so many projects I want to work on, and I've started here and I've started there and I started that, and they all kind of tie into each other too. So that's the struggle I always have. But through that organization, which took a lot of energy, which is why I did it during my holiday, because after working on it for even just an hour, I was exhausted. And I can't do that on a normal work day. So what I did was I organized my thoughts, I organized my projects, I looked at the bigger picture, I made charts to see what ties into each other, and I narrowed it down to basically 2 documents. And I say documents meaning Word documents on Google that are basically my business and my big project that I'm working on for myself. In my business one, I list the clients and the client work, which is a lot there by itself. And then on this one, I list what I need to do. And so I have that front and center, and I actually was mentioning this to Chrissy last week too, is that I have that front and center in my phone. So on my iPhone, I have the Notes app, and at the top, I have it focus on. So every time I get those distractions, I open up that note and I look at the top 2 things that I'm focusing on, which is my business document and my project document. If it doesn't fit in those categories, then I put it on a ideas list and I fill out whatever information's in my head at the moment, and then I leave it. You can always come back to it, but try not to.
I'm going to try that. I've got a project doing for the program for the Imaginarium to sort of really narrow it down and make it more streamlined. So I'll do it that way. I was smiling earlier because Vicky said you took a holiday. Wow, about time. But you do this one every year, because I watch you do it every year. I always look at the photos every year. You go to the lake, don't you?
Yes, and it's so important too for holiday, because we get, and I will say even myself included, as we get older, we stop planning those holidays. We stop going because we're too busy. Yeah. We don't have time. We're going to get so far behind. Like all the excuses come up, but it's very important to set a schedule and to have your holiday time factored into that, because it's so important for us. Like when I first started, well, when I was younger, out of high school, I said, I'm going to go every year somewhere. I want to travel. I want to do something sometime, at least once a year. And I did that for quite a while. And then I got busy with work as I grew up and realized that I wasn't really going too many places. I would have more day trips, day vacations, which is totally fine. But this particular holiday is something that I do with my family every year, and we've kind of made it a thing. In the beginning, it was hard for me because there was no Wi-Fi. I was in the work zone, and so like it was kind of like being locked up and not being able to connect with the world.
But good for you. But good for you.
Yes, yeah, I love it because it's where I can just breathe and really allow my creativity to flow and build out what I need and have that infrastructure and get organized. And so my point is that we all need that because we're very creative. And so you do need to factor in your holiday time. That means something different to everyone. That could be an hour every day. That could be one day a week. That could be every weekend. That could be once a month, once a year. I wouldn't go past that, though.
Mine is once a year. My children go to forest school camp once a year, and it's coming up soon. I can feel that I'm ready for it. It's 9th of August, I think, and I'm going to do a little bit of, I'm going to hit the road and meet some of the madbins and take some time out. Sometimes I go abroad, but I'm not this year. I just read this. I just admin on a Monday. Rest while and routine is much like our schedule here, like Chrissy Larry said, on the road a lot, but admin while travel. So I got Tuesdays, Wednesdays to create. So you've got that's probably Amy as well, isn't it?
Yep.
Great tip. Takes your daughter trading. That's Amy as well. I'm taking a holiday in August. Woohoo, Vicky! Awesome. If we got any, I'm very mindful of your time, Ed. Have we got any more questions on there?
Yeah. Let me look at the other ones here. Because I know most of what we talked about kind of lumped a lot of these in. So let me just see here. Do you have any tips on how not to get overwhelmed? We kind of talked about that. It comes down to really setting aside time to plan. And it all starts with scheduling your day out. Listen, you guys, when I first started, I scheduled out every 15 minutes of my day. Every 15 minutes of the day.
I remember you doing the live on that.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yep. Every 15 minutes of the day. And it's tedious. It's hard because you're like, ugh. But when you do that, you can see where those pockets of time are. You can see where you get held up. And then you also hold yourself accountable. So what was happening is I would get lost in the scrolling on Facebook, because we all do.
Yeah, we all do.
And if I looked at my timesheet, it's like my accountability partner. It's saying, whoa, 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 it's 11 a.m. You're not scheduled to do that. You're supposed to be working on your blog post. And so then my brain's saying, oh, you're right. We got to transition over.
Oh, I love that.
And that's the thing. And it's so funny because I know it sounds, everything's connecting the dots, but it's so funny that when I say all these things out loud, after being at that workshop this past weekend, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so true. The brain believes everything we tell it.
It does, and doesn't know the difference between reality and not.
Exactly. And so, again, that's important to take your time to rest. Let's see. Amy had one the other day. How many number per social media is best to get seen, and how often should we be posting on each for best reach and content? So this is a good one. It also ties into how do we get good social media coverage without being on the platforms consistently. So those two kind of tie into each other, and I'll answer the second one first. So how do you get good social media coverage without being on the platforms consistently? You don't.
Because I think all creatives think we've got to post all the time on all platforms.
Right.
To get ourselves sales, to get ourselves seen. That's where our mindset is.
Yeah, and so here's the thing, and you may or may not be able to see behind me, but I have my show up, deliver, and engage sign. And those are the three things that I teach people all the time, is that you have to do the first two things. Well, technically, in this case, at least the first one, which is show up, right? You have to show up so that you can deliver whatever it is you're offering, and then you have to engage. And that's the hardest part, because the engage one is where most businesses, most creatives fall flat. They don't engage, which therefore they don't get to know their customers or soon-to-be customers, and therefore they actually don't get the sales. So a lot of us are doing the first two. We're showing up, we're posting, we're delivering that post, but we're not doing that follow-up. And with anything, follow-up is huge. So what that means is if somebody comments on your post, you follow up with them. You know, oh, I love that necklace. Then you follow up with them.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. What did you like about the necklace? Do you have a preferred color? It comes in XYZ. Like, lead the conversation just like you would if we were in person talking to each other.
Yeah.
So you really want to think about that. Tying back into how many times you should post a day, well, that comes down to your time management again, and looking at your schedule and what network you're on. So let's just step back for a second and remember, we don't have to be fully present on every single network. It's too much. Each one has their own roadmap that you have to follow. And it's a lot when you're trying to do all the other things. So what you need to do is pick the one that is the most active for you, that has your people there, that gets the most attention, and really make sure that you're being there consistently. And then you can just share your posts elsewhere. And if things happen, great. But that relieves a lot of the pressure, because you have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest,
YouTube.
Those are 5 at least right there of the main ones. That's a lot of work. That's a full-time job and then some. So you have to think about, where are your people at, and where are you comfortable jumping in and working with those posts and engaging with them. And then there's programs out there and ways that you can be present on other platforms from just there. For instance, Instagram. If you love Instagram and you're showcasing your items there, there's a button inside Instagram that allows you to share automatically to your Facebook page.
Yeah.
Therefore, you don't have to post in 2 places.
I think there was a question saying, is it okay to post the same post on 2 different platforms? I think that links into that, doesn't it?
Yes, and that is the other question. Perfect tie-in. Yes, it is okay. Now, I will backtrack and say that you have to, again, be aware of the platform and your people. Meaning, I know from looking at the data that Facebook gives us on our business page and Instagram gives us on our business page, that my audience, while they may be the same, and they do have different people on both networks, they're not going to be on at the same time.
True.
I know that most of my Instagram people are going to be on in the later half of the day, maybe around 3 p.m. or 6 p.m. My Facebook people, while they're on throughout the day, there's certain times of the day where I'll get more likes, say 12 o'clock, versus comments, which are more at 6 or 6:30 p.m.
So like testing, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. It's all about testing and understanding that yes, you can post in both places, but is it at the right time? Because here's the thing, you can post the most amazing content all day long, but if you're posting at the wrong time, you're not going to get the reach and you're not going to get the engagement on there. And so that's why it's important to pay attention to those numbers and to know that what you post on Instagram at that time may not do well on Facebook at that time. If you did it earlier or later, it might. So just keep in your mind that it's not just about the content, but it's about what network and at what time.
Yeah. So when a little bit for what I do, if I do a live on the page, I use Ecamm Live and I send it up to YouTube and then I pin it onto Pinterest, and that's 3 all done in one go. I don't do a lot on Instagram, to be honest.
Yeah, and a lot of people do because they make it really easy to share in both places.
Yeah.
And then somebody else talked about, Vicky had said, is it considered a good ratio of posts per day? Is there a good ratio of posts per day on Facebook? Again, it really is all about testing. Depending on how active your page is, you'll have to play with those. But again, take a look at timing and see, because it all comes down to that timing, which, keep in mind, is constantly changing.
Yeah.
It's always changing. So that's why I say pick one main platform to focus on, because you have to nail it, and it can take a while because things are constantly changing online.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any more questions?
I think we got all of those
The
from
one
yesterday.
thing, I'll quickly read out here, but the one thing I wanted you to leave us with is a bit of tech advice on time management as well. And Vicky has started talking about it, actually. She uses TweetDeck, and this one I always get my teeth out for this. IFTTTT. If it's not this, it's that. Do you know that one?
Yes, that's another good one that many of you can, it's a free option that many of you can have set up for different things. Basically does almost what like Chrissy was talking about. You create one place, then it posts somewhere else, and then it goes here. So definitely look into that, because that is a free option for people, and it's a lot of fun.
Have you got any that you could recommend, Ed?
That one is definitely the first one because it's free and they have a ton of connections. A lot of you guys are probably live streaming. I know that you jump on the live streams a lot.
I try to get people to. They're all
Yep.
shy, but we do say, come on, show up, deliver, and engage.
Yes, yeah, and so there's different programs like Restream.io. Restream.io is a service that allows you to go live in one place, but also in other places. So for instance, if you wanted to go live on Facebook, you go live on Facebook, but it also goes live on YouTube and Twitter and wherever else.
Oh.
So
I've seen you do that with Instagram, but I don't know how you did it. I think you was, like when you did when you was on Facebook a lot doing.
With my setup, it's a little more techy because Instagram doesn't let you use third-party programs to streaming. So that's why I like going live on Facebook, because it's more, I can do more with it, and you can repost your videos better than on Instagram.
But Restream can help you.
Yes, but not going live through Instagram yet, because Instagram doesn't allow that as an option. But Restream can help you go live in multiple places at once if you're trying to do the whole YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. So that's a good one. And then again, when it comes to the time management, use a pen and paper, use a spreadsheet, use your calendar, digital calendar as well, and set those time limits and put in your calendar. I used to do a written calendar and my digital calendar. Put in those actual appointments. Lunch break, 12 to 1. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go to lunch every day at 12, but at least it's there and you get that notification, because we're obsessed with notifications. So when you make that time and you schedule it, your brain again will say, oh, it's time for lunch, break.
Just looking at my diary, Ed, and I haven't put out breaks at all.
Yes.
I'm just looking at it and I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah. You got to write them down. So really utilize those options. And, if you're meeting with people or you're trying to set up appointments and things like that, use something like Acuity scheduling. I have my link on my tools page. And I have other tools that people can check out. But Acuity is great for easy time management in terms of, here's my office hours. here's the appointment. You can charge or you can make it free. It can tie into other services like Zoom and all of that. So really looking at different ways that you can go and set things up one time that help you continuously from there.
I think with creatives, you'll get a message through Facebook about an order. I mean, and connecting it to Heartisan or their own website is the best because you don't have any of that and they just order. But I know Facebook took me a lot of evening last night to talk about what size is this, what size is that. That's what brings it. And I don't think we can do anything about that.
Yeah, that's the hard thing, especially if is all the communication going through Facebook?
A lot of people will have a Facebook page. A lot of creators have a Facebook page. A lot of people will get their orders through. We're trying to encourage people to link their Facebook pages to the Heartisan links or their own website links. And that's what we're going to be doing next month. And I think I have a child coming in. Are you off to Air Cadets? Yeah. Give me a kiss. Sorry, I got to kiss my boy.
Yep. And that's a good thing, too, about trying to get everyone next month to do the
in a minute
to have your website. So I also want to leave you guys with that, is that it's very important to have something outside of Facebook, because when Facebook goes down, not if, when
it does,
as it has recently, you lose everything. Yes, it will probably come back, but you're missing those sales. So don't rely on social media for your sales. It's great to include it, and it's great that sales come from it, but you need to have your website so that it's always there and you're always bringing people back to it, because that is where they can find you and they can buy from you. So keep that in mind.
We say that a lot. Get it over either to ours if you haven't got one, or your own. So you've got some.
Yes.
So I think that's everything. Let's have a quick scroll. My son's going to ring me a minute because he always rings me when he gets here.
Oh yeah.
I find it. Someone's had the phone off for the last 30 minutes. It's been lovely. I'm not sure who that is. Hubby always tells me if I forget lunch, and we need an appointment scheduler for our upcoming podcast. I told Ed about this earlier when we have a quick chat before we come on, and we're so excited. And when you do yours with Ed, you've got to find out how to do stuff. I've got a basic knowledge of pulling out the audio and putting it onto iTunes. Oh, I was just going to say, can you please put your links in? See, because you're the master. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
Well,
so that link is tools, my tools page for all of you who want to see what other tools I have that I recommend. Yes, Vicky, you will experience my setup when you fill out the form that I sent you the other day. So take note of that experience and what you do, because that's something that you can set up as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're going to actually get. I told you I'll get our creatives to come on with us and tell their stories and all stuff like that. But that'd be awesome. I'm not sure who said that, but someone's thanking you. It's been
Cara, thank you so much.
I think we covered everything that was. I don't think we missed anything. I think I saw something about a blog that we didn't answer, but can't find it now.
We were talking about the blog earlier.
There was another
about blogging.
Cara, how do you start a blog? Does it get business seen? But we can talk about this in our group Zooms as well, Cara. Sorry.
Yep, no worries.
You there? Okay. All right. Speak to you later. Love you too. Bye. It's my little boy who's just started to take himself to the end of the road to go to Air Cadets. So he always rings me. Bless him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we can talk about that more about blogs, but you could talk about really quickly about how it gets your business seen, if you don't mind, Ed.
Yeah, so it's all based off of what you put on your website. Then Google picks that up and says, oh, they're talking about XYZ. And so then when people type in something related to that on Google, that's when your website starts to get pulled up. Of course, it's not necessarily as simple as that. There's lots of other things factored into that, but that's the basic point, is that you do a blog so that you have fresh content on your website. that tells Google that, hey, I'm here, I'm active, and I'm trying to attract XYZ. Please send them my way. It's kind of like a buddy of yours that's referring people to you. It's a referral system.
Yeah. So we'll talk a bit more. It's going to be in one of the modules, Cara, but you can always tell when it's working as well, because I always find on both the website, I get messages saying, "Oh, we just checked your SEO and all this stuff," so you know people are reading it then, don't you? And they're trying to sell you something.
Exactly.
So I think didn't that go on quick? That's an hour, Ed. An hour.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Awesome. Thank you ever so much for coming on and talking to us. It's time management is such a huge, I think it's a huge thing for everybody, isn't it?
Everything. Yes, everything.
I'm a bit of the person that has lots of projects on the go and struggles to finish them. So I've got to do one at a time. I've got to get better.
Exactly. And that's where it comes down to just writing out what are they, and then also putting them into quarters, right? So as businesses, we have to start thinking about quarter system. Yep. And there's 4 quarters in a year.
Yeah, we do.
And to really think about what you can do, all the things, but just in a matter of time, and setting those time parameters there.
Yeah, we got our crazy one coming up. We call it the golden quarter. Our busiest time is the Christmas quarter, so we're getting ready to prepare for that. So that's a lot of time management too. So thanks everybody for watching, and you've put your link, haven't you? So you can contact Ed there and have a look about it. Have you got your Facebook page there as well?
Let me put that in, and then I'll also put in case anybody wants to be on the email list, because I do tips on weekly on that too.
You know I've done I've done the book. You're mentioned in there, and I've got you're mentioned, and there's some how-to bits on it, and it's like join Ed Troxell's email list.
I love it. And so that page has everything you guys need in terms of the email list, but also our website obviously, but also Facebook page.
And your emails are awesome every Friday, isn't it?
Yep.
So we'll let you go back, because you've got the whole of your day to go, and we've got our evening.
Yes. So make sure you guys start working on those office hours, and make sure to take breaks and sleep. Go to sleep tonight.
Sleep is a big one. Sleep is a big one.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. And I think I'm on live Thursday, so I'll see you then.
All right. Bye. Take care.